Well, it's a lot of things. But one of the things that's in it with bipartisan support is to do better when it comes to mental health. We're going to speed up the approval of new drugs in different categories, but it's the first major mental health legislation in a decade. It'll also hopefully dovetail with the needs to address the opioid epidemic. Now, one of the men at the forefront of this effort is Republican Congressman Tim Murphy. He introduced a House version of the bill. He's done this many times. He's also the author of a really helpful book called Overcoming Passive Aggression. Allison changed my copy to say Overcoming Aggression. And you can explain the distinction to me in a second. But congratulations to you, Congressman. I know this mattered a lot to you. Why should it matter to us, to people in this country?
About the bill?
Yes.
You know, we have had a lot of tragedies, and you've been great at helping America understand that we need to address the mental health issue behind that and provide treatment instead of tragedy. So our bill, it came out of years of investigation, my role as the chairman of Oversight and Investigation. We found the federal government was really partially to blame. There's 112 federal agencies out there that don't work together. They're supposed to address issues of mental health, mental illness, and they don't do it very well. We were funding some pretty silly programs, like how to make a fruit smoothie or interpretive dancing or dealing with your anger, and not dealing with serious mental illness. Our bill changes that. It starts at the top, a new office, the Assistant Secretary of Mental Health and Substance Abuse, to get our government moving forward in this, changing the grant programs to make them evidence-based, making sure we have more psychiatric beds to treat people instead of dumping them on the street or leaving them in emergency rooms or sending them to jail, more providers, psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers, because half the counties in America, you can't even get help because it's not there.
Now, one of the things that this addresses, and again, I know you want to do more, but, you know, especially where you are right now, you got to take one step at a time here, especially when there's such a vacuum and such a stigma against the mentally ill and treating it like illness and not behavior modification needs. So a family who knows they have somebody who needs help but who doesn't want to get help or who rejects the help and doesn't follow with their care but is an adult, often they're handcuffed.
Yes.
You want to address that. How can we now?
Well, I do want to address it because there's certain laws, HIPAA laws, which prevent physicians from talking with family members. Part of this bill clarifies that and makes it very clear. A physician can ask a family, tell me what I need to know. Some doctors think they can't do that. They really can, so we're going to push towards that. Part I want to push more, we got it somewhat but not fully addressed, and that's the physician's ability to tell a family some selected information. Not describing therapy notes, not breaching a person's privacy, but 75% of people with a serious mental illness also have a chronic illness, diabetes, heart disease, lung disease. And wouldn't it be great if a physician could at least say, Mr. Smith, your son, I can't tell everything we do, but he needs to see an endocrinologist. He needs to see an oncologist. Can you make sure that happens?
Because the physical and mental go together.
Absolutely, they really do.
And to give the family the ability to go to the doctor and say, Chris isn't right. His behavior is weird. I know he's not taking his medication. He's getting erratic. Because how many times have we seen in these mass violence events where there was a perceptible chain of events and the family felt unempowered? At least you did something. We know there has to be more. We'll stay on that story. Now comes the book. Overcoming Passive Aggression. At the beginning of this book, Congressman Murphy has 40 years of clinical experience, and his co-author here, Lori-Ann Oberlin, they've worked on this before. They each have individual works as well. You got a great story that describes what passive aggression is. A lot of people don't believe that they are passive aggressive. What do people learn initially in this book?
Well, they learn that not only other people, and oftentimes we see it more in other people, we don't see it in ourselves. Passive aggression is how you get back at some people, or you ignore them, you attack them, with not really doing anything. You may delay the phone call, you may give them a left-handed compliment, you may not take care of their needs right away, you may get them the wrong size clothing for a present. All those little nagging things. And I know it happens in Congress, it happens in every business.
And why does it have to be overcome?
Because it is an awful way to communicate. We have lost our ability to communicate directly, to handle emotional and intellectual conversations with each other. We tweet, we Facebook post, we put digs and nastiness indirectly instead of looking someone in the eye. And it can bring down a company, it can destroy a marriage, it can hurt a relationship, and we need to overcome that.
One of the chapters I was surprised in this book, To Overcome Passive Aggression, is go nose to nose, argue it out, and if you don't like it, have a fist fight, end it there, and go get a coffee.
No. Don't say that.
There are a lot of great communication skills, and there's a learning of how we behave and why we behave that way and what to do about it. Great book, Overcoming Passive Aggression. I know the fight to get more help for the mentally ill continues, and we'll cover it.
Thank you very much.
Be well, Congressman, and congratulations. Allison.
All right, Chris, we all remember the Sandy Hook school massacre 4 years ago. It was one of the saddest days in our country's history. Well, now those grieving parents are facing threats because of online haters and conspiracy theorists who say that tragedy was a hoax. Just another painful example of how real stories cause real pain. We have two people on the receiving end next.